Whether the team is performing clean or unsightly, we'll cover that here on Washington Football Nightly. I, of course, am your host, Louie T. Thank you for joining me. Let's get to tonight's lead story. So, despite a valiant effort, Washington expectedly falls short 27-17. I was wishing on a star, hoping that some kind of Christmas miracle could happen, but unfortunately, it wasn't in the cards. And the Eagles simply took a stranglehold of this football game pretty much starting at around the beginning of the second quarter. You know, we got off to a 10-0 start, and we couldn't ride that momentum and wave into the second quarter and into the second half. And the Eagles really took advantage of a team that just simply didn't have enough. And they did what they were supposed to do. The Eagles are now back to 500 at 7-7. Washington falls to 6-8. And now they find themselves in essentially, full out desperation mode. Win out or else. Your season's done. Any loss and you're done. And I honestly don't see this team getting that done. But we'll talk about that a little bit later. What I want to focus on are the keys to the game. Because this game was there for the taking, especially with the start that Washington got off to and the Eagles handing them gift after gift after gift. Washington, refused to accept some of those gifts. And unfortunately, when you don't do those things, you don't take advantage of opportunities, you don't win football games when you're undermanned, understaffed, and really overwhelmed and overmatched. So let's get to Washington's offense versus Philadelphia's defense. And honestly, it was a tables turning type of scenario, because for the last month almost, the defense has been the catalyst. It's what's carried this team. The offense has been a passenger, and the defense has been the vehicle driving the win streak. And even in the loss against Dallas, the defense was the only thing that kept that from getting out of hand. This game, honestly, the defense didn't hold up its end of the bargain, and the offense, I thought, didn't exceed expectations, but it definitely met them for sure. You start with run it, and run it again as the first key to victory. I gave them half credit. They tried. It wasn't for a lack of trying. They tried to run it. Gibby he couldn't get anything going. I don't love Scott Turner's run offense. I'm not going to sit here and pick it apart or talk about this, that, and the third, because when it's working, we're not complaining. But a lot of you aren't the biggest fans of gun runs. I'm not a big fan of exclusively running out of the gun, because that's essentially what we do. We don't have a lot of under center handoffs. A lot of our run is out of the gun, and a lot of it is off tackle. It's to the outside. It's trying to get to the outside, trying to stretch the defense. I'm not a fan of the gun runs. I'm not a fan of how we run the football. That said, the Eagles were all over it. And then Gibby, banged up his toe. And you could argue that early in the game, Gibby was getting some good hits in the run game. And then once he banged up his toe, that was all she wrote, really. We ran it as a team solidly. Jared Patterson actually had a really good game. He did fumble, but we recovered it. But it wasn't a good enough effort. And I thought there were some opportunities. There was a 3rd and 2 where we decided to throw it, and it was incomplete, and we had to punt. And I'm like, we've been running the football well enough to get 2 yards if we do it up the middle. Everything to the outside, to the perimeter, the Eagles were sniffing out. But anything up the middle, I thought we were getting 4 or 5 up the middle. But I didn't think we ran it enough in certain situations. So they got half credit. It wasn't terrible. We just didn't have the kind of success we needed to up front. And again, no sheriff. You kind of knew that was going to happen anyhow. The next key to the game offensively, win time of possession by at least 7 minutes. Oh, man. That was a pipe dream. The Eagles won time of possession by nearly 11 minutes. It wasn't close. It was like 35-something to 24-something. I mean, it kind of coincides with the Eagles rushing for 250 yards or whatever they ran for in the game. We got dominated up front, so on both sides of the football. And if we can't win in the trenches, we can't win at all. We saw it against Dallas 2 weeks ago. We see it here against the Eagles again. We have to win in the trenches, and we didn't win in the trenches in this football game. And the time of possession bears that out. At least 2 big plays from the offense was the next key. Check mark, full check mark. We had the big play to Terry McLaurin. We had another chunk play of 29 yards. The Terry play was like 46 yards. The chunk play to tight end John Bates on the third down. I thought that was a beautiful play call by Scott Turner to get under center, run a bootleg, get Garrett Gilbert out of the pocket, and that was a great throw too because Darius Slay caught it late, tried to get out there, and he put that football behind Slay so Slay couldn't get his hands on it. And Bates, bless his heart, man, he was running as fast as he could. Almost got in there. It would have been nice for him to get his first career NFL touchdown, but that was a gain of 29. And then you had the pass interference on a third down that kept us in the game at 20-10 on Adam Humphries to extend a possession. Vontae Maddox got caught face guarding, and so that was a big play. You had the big DeAndre Carter reverse. Now, half of that came back. Well, it all came back essentially because of a boneheaded decision by Sadiq Charles to peel back, and it was soft, but it's still, that's the rule. He didn't need to do it. DeAndre Carter was going to get the yardage that he got without Sadiq Charles doing what he did. It was unnecessary. So there were a plethora on a night where we couldn't sustain offense. There were a plethora of big plays that gave us scoring opportunities, and that was, I told you we were going to need that. I didn't see us sustaining offense, and we were going to need big plays, and we got it. So check mark there. Protect whomever is under center and the ball. Another full check mark. I thought one of the most eye-opening things in the game was the lack of pass rush by the Eagles and our offensive line's ability to pretty much give Garrett Gilbert all the time he could ask for to go through his reads, go through them again, and then check it down. He obviously wasn't in the timing and rhythm of the offense. You could see it on some of his throws where he just waited so long to see a guy fully come open and undress before throwing the football. You would like to see him, throw it with more timing and rhythm, have a guy come out of his break and the ball be there. But that's not going to be there with the guy that got there 4 days ago. So he needed to be able to have time to survey the field, and boy, did he ever in this game. So I thought the protection was phenomenal for Garrett Gilbert. And then we didn't turn it over, which was a surprise. We tried to on the screen pass where I felt like the game was unraveling at that point. It was 17-10. And I thought he had just thrown a pick, and I thought the Eagles were going to go up 24-10, and I thought it was about to become a 38-13 ass whooping. But luckily enough, that defender wasn't able to come up with that football. It was a drop, and we were able to just punt the football instead of giving it to him right there inside our own 20, 25-yard line. It was about to be disastrous. Jarrett Patterson tried to fumble the football away. Great job of recovering it by Sam Cosmi. We tried to give it away a couple of times, but we were able to hold on to it. So full check mark there. We couldn't afford any turnovers, and we didn't have any. That was one of the few bright spots in the football game. And then lastly, leave no points on the field. This was a huge one because I already stated that we weren't going to score a bunch of points. Obviously, with the offense being compromised without having one of your two quarterbacks on the roster that had been here the entire season, you weren't going to be able to put up big numbers on the scoreboard. So every opportunity that presented itself, you get in the red zone, you got to find a way to come away with a touchdown. You cannot find field goals. You cannot miss a field goal. You cannot miss an extra point. Every point counts in a game where you are at a distinct disadvantage. And so the biggest play, I told you yesterday, there were 2 plays that I thought were turning points in this ball game, and the first of which was an opportunity to put 4 more points on the scoreboard. You know, you force the first turnover, you turn that into a touchdown, take a 7-0 lead. The Eagles try to respond. They drive it back down the field. Montez Sweat hits Jalen Hurts, gets the ball out, scooped up by um, Landon Collins, and then he fumbles, and we've recovered that. And then you get the big ball to Terry down inside the Eagles' 10-yard line, and there you are with an opportunity to get in the end zone, and we can't get in. And I thought we could have run it, better and had some more, some better play calling down there. I thought we were too vanilla. Hey, just run it in between the tackles and see if we can get in. Like, no, let's try to get creative with the run. How about a jet sweep down there? How about something misdirection-wise, fake dive, pitch, something like that that the defense isn't looking for. They expect us to give it up the gut, to Antonio Gibson out of the gun, which I think is dumb. You're down at the goal line and you're 5 yards, behind the line of scrimmage, handing it off, and the defense can see it clearly. Like, whatever. Again, when it works, we're not complaining, but I just felt like we needed to do something different. But that said, Garrett Gilbert on third down throws a beautiful pass to Adam Humphries. It hits him right in the shoulder pad. Defender's not looking. Humphries usually catches everything. I'm not going to kill him because he's been so money for us this year. But that's one you got to have. If you're going to upset the Eagles on the road in an improbable situation, you got to have it. You can't leave any points on the scoreboard. That was a big one. You settle for the field goal. 14-0, as I said yesterday, hits a lot different than 10-0. 10, I don't want to be down double digits, but 10's doable. That's a field goal and a touchdown. 14, that's 2 touchdowns. Whoa, wait a minute. They just punched us in the mouth. 10, you're like, if they would have landed that punch, we might have had to take a knee down on the canvas, recollect ourselves and gather our thoughts. But 10, that's a glancing blow. You might catch a piece of the chin, but I'm okay. I'm good. We had a chance to really, really put the Eagles on their heels. We didn't. So, no check mark there. When it's all said and done, 2.5 points for the offense, which is amazing. That is the best offensive production number-wise we've had in about 3 weeks. So, offense, I thought, gave us a chance. And I was reading comments, and people were saying, no, this game was lost by the offense. No, this game was lost by the defense, which we are going to get to right now. First defensive key for Washington in this game, contain the Eagles' run game. And I said specifically Jalen Hurts and Miles Sanders. Well, they did not do that. I'm not going to beat this horse because it is long dead. But Miles Sanders had his way at his biggest run of the year. I think that run might have been, every bit of 30-some-odd yards. He had a couple of big runs in the game. Jordan Howard had a couple of nice hits in the run game. Jalen Hurts got away a couple of times. We did not do a good job in the run game. We got gashed by the Eagles' stretch run game and read option and RPOs, all of it. We were affected heavily by Jalen Hurts and his impact on the run game. We just got gutted. Keep Jalen Hurts in the pocket was the next defensive key. I didn't think we did a good enough job of that either. There were several throws, including the touchdown throw that was the backbreaker to put the game out of reach at 27-17, where we let Jalen Hurts out of the pocket again. It seemed like he, got out of the pocket at will on the evening and, did whatever the hell he wanted to do, whether he wanted to run, he wanted to throw it. It really was up to him to take, make any decision he wanted. He could have run that same ball probably for 8 to 12 yards. He decided to throw it, and it was the right decision because it was a touchdown. It was a great throw. And the first possession of the game, he gets outside of the pocket again because we don't have contain, and he's able to find Devontae Smith on the sidelines, makes a great grab that has to be reviewed and overturned. And so I thought Hurts just was able to get outside the pocket at will. So obviously no check mark there. Limit explosives. I said we're going to have to make the Eagles earn everything that they get because we're not in a good enough position to give up big plays. You know, we trying to keep them off the scoreboard. So making them, you know, a team could have a 7-play, 34-yard drive going, and they're moving it, and they're right around midfield, and then you get a holding penalty, or you get a sack. And all of a sudden, what was a promising drive, now it's 2nd and 24. Or second and 19 after a holding penalty. And on 3rd down, you try to run it on 2nd down to get something back, and you get 3, and now it's 3rd and 16. Well, more likely than not, that drive's dead. So that's what I wanted to see us do. But, when you give up a 45-yard, Dallas Goedert, catch that should have been picked off, when you give up 30-yard runs to Miles Sanders, and a couple of, 15 to 20-yard runs to Hurts and Jordan Howard, and you give up a 38-yard wide receiver screen to what's the dude that they took in the first round? About to call him Jeremy Maclin. Jalen Reagor. When you're giving up, all of these chunk plays that we gave up in the game, we gave up about 3 or 4 plays of 30 yards or more in this game. It was ridiculous. You give up those, you're begging to lose and give up points, and we did that in this game. So obviously we got no points and no check mark there. 3rd down defense. 3rd down D was going to be huge. That was the next key to the game defensively. Got to get off the field on 3rd downs, and boy, did we have ample opportunities to do so. You got to give credit where credit is due. I just felt like the Eagles, they out-schemed us. And they had the perfect play call, it seemed like, on the evening for everything that we tried to do. On a 3rd and 6, game on the line, 20-17. We got the momentum. We're trying to get off the field. Jack says, you know what? They're killing us on 3rd downs. We're sitting back in zone, and they're picking us apart. Let's come after Jalen Hurts. Okay. We come after Jalen Hurts. He promptly throws a wide receiver screen to Reagor, and he's out the gate for 38. And next thing you know, it's a touchdown to Greg Ward, a play or two later, and just like that, you had a chance, and then you don't have a chance. And so 7 of 13 on 3rd downs, over 50%, that's not good enough. And again, it reminded me of our 3rd down defense prior to the bye. We've been a different team defensively on 3rd downs since the bye week. This felt like pre-bye week 3rd down defense. The 14 of 18 against the Chargers and the 10 of 16 against the Falcons and things of that nature, where we were just getting destroyed on 3rd downs. This kind of felt like that. I had zero confidence we were getting off the field. And honestly, if not for a couple of drops on 3rd downs, they probably would have been more like 10 of 13 on 3rd downs, to be honest with you. So it wasn't really anything that we did the reason they went 7 of 13. It was really more of them dropping the football. Goddard had 2 of them. One got picked off on a 3rd down. So this easily could have been 10 of 13 on 3rd downs. We showed little to no resistance on 3rd downs, and that's losing football. So no check mark, obviously, there. And then finally, the last key was, look, we're going to need some help, but we needed to force at least 1 turnover. We got 2. All right. And we used them up promptly early in the game. Okay. The first 2 possessions, we got 2 turnovers. And what's crazy, if you look at the timeline during the season of our turnovers forced, really, that's what we do. We create turnovers in the first quarter of football games and in the first half of football games. And then usually we don't do anything in the second half. I think the Chargers game was the only game where we got second half turnovers. But you look at it, all of these games where we've got multiple takeaways, the Saints game, the Chiefs game, this game, it's all first half takeaways. It's all first half takeaways. And really, it's usually the first quarter. Tampa Bay game, you think about all the games where we created multiple takeaways. Saints, Chiefs, Bucks, this game, multiple turnovers, all in the first quarter or first half. And in every single one of those games, we didn't take advantage of it fully. Never once did we get 2 interceptions and turn it into 14 points. It's usually a field goal and a touchdown or 2 field goals. Like that Bucks game, we were like, look, we can't kick another field goal. We got to score a touchdown here. We can't afford to kick another field goal. So the 2 turnovers were huge. Eagles were being generous, and we needed to make it 14, not 10. But we already did that already. I don't need to do it again. But that's the only check mark that the defense received on the evening. 1 point for the defense. I can't tell you the last time the defense was that lackluster in a game. But you know why. Still, if we were going to have any chance, the defense was going to have to step up, and they did. You put it together, it's 3.5. You know how this goes. In order to have a chance to win, you need a 7. Minimum of a 7. We had half of that. So, I mean, you understand why we lost the game by 10. So, let's transition into in other news. And this is going to be a weird week because everything has to be condensed. Hell, we didn't even practice today, yet there's an injury report. So let's take a look at that briefly and go over it, and I'll explain to you how this works. So this practice injury report is actually a representation of what would have been had we practiced, right? So I don't even know what that means exactly, because they can fabricate this all they want. Like, I'll give you a great example. Curtis Samuel with his hamstring. They could have put full practice. Had they practiced, he would have been a full participant to give, throw the Cowboys off the scent a bit. He wasn't practicing on a limited basis today. Yeah, right. Who you think you're fooling? When they get back out on the field, and it'll probably be, Thursday, tomorrow, I guarantee you this guy's going to be a DNP again. Like, they put limited up there because they could. Like, that's why this is a farce. This is a joke. And maybe I could be wrong, and maybe he does participate in positional drills tomorrow. But I'm not holding my breath. I think Curtis Samuel is not gonna play again. I think he's gonna be a DNP when they get back out on the field. Anyway, Landon Collins, foot injury. Remember, he got injured during the game. He actually came back, but similar to the Seahawks game, it's probably the same foot he was dealing with against the Seahawks. He re-aggravated it, and so he wouldn't have practiced today. Antonio Gibson with the toe. It's the same toe that bothered him, and he injured against the Steelers last year, and then he missed the Panthers game, the Seahawks game, and then had to gut it out the remainder of the season, and then could have had off-season surgery, elected not to. I don't blame him. If you don't have to go under the knife, then you don't. He's going to be in the same situation. 2 years in the league, 2 years straight, he's going to be nursing a toe injury in the offseason. He may have to have surgery this time around. He may elect to do what he did last year, and that's not have surgery. But this could be a lingering issue his entire career. We don't know. We'll see. But he's going to be compromised the remainder of the season, however long it may be. William Jackson III, they listed him as a calf, but reports have come out that he has a strained or sprained Achilles. I've never heard of that before, which is, it's rare. Generally, I saw him reaching at his ankle. I feared the worst. First thing I'm thinking of is that's his Achilles. He's done for the season. I was right. It was his Achilles. He's just not done for the season. Now, there are more MRIs to come to confirm that. Remember, we were once told that Logan Thomas's ACL was still intact and it wasn't as significant as once feared. And then it turned out to be a torn ACL. So I'm going to reserve judgment on this thing. I'm going to kind of hold back and wait and see. Either way, I don't think this guy's playing anytime soon. Okay. You listen to Ron Rivera, and he's hopeful for both Landon Collins and William Jackson III. I don't share that same optimism. Sorry, not sorry. Daniel Wise, knee. Same thing happened to Logan Thomas, happened to Daniel Wise. He might have torn his ACL on another low block. Like, the NFL needs to do something about that shit. It's funny that they come up with this stupid rule, and they claim it's player safety, where they don't want corners and people going low outside the tackle box, cutting down, tackles and guards and offensive linemen that are pulling. Okay, fine. You don't want them going low. Well, why is it okay in the tackle box? Especially if you're coming, from the opposite side of the field. I know cut blocks are something that teams do when they're running quick game and all of that stuff. I just hate to see guys get cut on the backside of a play and get injured. And that's what happened to Daniel Wise, just like it happened to Logan Thomas. It's a shame. His season's probably done. Jamin Davis with the shoulder would have been a limited participant. That's even more of an issue now, even though I think he's going to be fine because of the news today of Cole Holcomb testing positive for COVID-19 and being placed on the COVID-19/reserve list. With the new protocols put in place, he may be able to be back for the Dallas game, but I'm not holding my breath. Neither should you. Curtis Samuel, hamstring. I already talked about this. I think that's a farce. I think that's them trying to play mind games with the Cowboys. He's not playing. I don't think the hamstring would have allowed him to practice today if there were practice, but they decided to put limited practice. Good for them. James Smith-Williams, illness, and Adam Humphries, ribs, would have been a full participant. So that is the mock practice injury report, which is just delicious. That's fun. The Cowboys actually did practice today. It's a normal week for them. So they actually did practice today. So Tyron Smith, ankle injury. He sustained that ankle injury against us. He's not playing in this game. So you don't have to worry about him. With Montez Sweat back in the lineup, we need to take advantage of their left tackle. Ty Nsekhe is going to be in there. We know him all too well from his time here in Washington. We need to kick his ass on Sunday. Point blank, period, end of discussion. His ass needs to be handed to him on Sunday. Force the Cowboys to have to chip and double and alter their plans to get guys out into the route. We need to kick Ty Nsekhe's ass, period. The rest of these guys are going to play. Corey Clement, toe, DeMarcus Lawrence, foot, Tony Pollard, foot, Ezekiel Elliott, knee. All of those guys are playing on Sunday. Don't worry about any of those guys. The only one not playing is a big one, Tyron Smith at left tackle. The rest of these guys are going to play. They're going to be fine. So we were able to not have Tony Pollard. He's going to play, and he's a problem and a difference maker. So we're going to have to gear up to try to stop him because he's very dynamic and explosive. So Rivera had his, day after presser, and there were two big takeaways from the presser. I'm over the COVID stuff, so I could care less about all the COVID conversation that took place about, are these guys close to coming back, this, that, and the third. It is what it is at this point, because in my mind, the season's done. But Rivera talked about, and I already mentioned, the two injuries with William Jackson III and Landon Collins. He sounded optimistic. He said, hey, we feel good about where those guys are and, their situations. I think he is speaking in relative terms. I think he, much like I am, was thinking the worst. Like, okay, Landon, might have done something really serious to his foot this time, and or at a minimum re-aggravated it, which, remember, he missed a full game against the Vegas Raiders after hurting it against Seattle. So if he's done the exact same thing, no worse, but just the same thing, he can't play against Dallas. He couldn't play the following week against Vegas. This is a short turnaround. So in my mind, okay, Landon's out, and William Jackson, I was thinking that's an Achilles. And it might be, but it may not be torn or ruptured. It may still be intact, which that's good news. But it doesn't bode well for him playing in the biggest, one of the biggest games of the season. The biggest game of the season was the Dallas game a week ago, a week and a half ago. That was the biggest game of the season, and we didn't get it done. Speaking of which, I do want to say this. Listening to Rivera, I think that Dallas game stings. The reason I say that is because when he talks about our season and what it could be, what it could have been, what it might be moving forward, every time he references the Dallas game, there is a different tone. You could hear the disappointment in his voice, and he felt like the stage was set for us to do what we needed to do. Everything was in place. We had the momentum. We were at home. The Cowboys offered up disrespect and bulletin board material. Everything was there. We were riding a 4-game heater. Everything was there for us to go out and play the kind of football that allowed us to win 4 straight, and we didn't. And we came out flat, and we got our asses handed to us for 3.5 quarters. And I think that bothers him. I really do. And it should. It bothers the hell out of me because, somebody super chatted last night. I want to say it was HTTR for life. I think he said, can we just go back to right after the Raiders game? And I said, that was good times, man. That was really good times because you're riding a 4-game win streak. My babies were on the precipice of being born, and we were so excited. And I'm in the hospital doing a video because I'm so amped. And then, you know, the whole build up for the Dallas week takes place. We want Dallas and everything. It was a crazy week. It was a lot of fun. And we just haven't been right since. And, you know, that game, the reason I think it really, you know, sticks in your craw. I can't speak for you guys out there, but for myself and probably for Coach Rivera, I think the reason that one stings is because we had all our dudes, you know, outside of Montez Sweat, who had the COVID positive test and couldn't play in the game. We had all our guys. Everybody was healthy that, you know, had been healthy, and we were ready to rock and roll. We, you know, there was just no excuse for what happened. To get bombarded 18-0, to not play the kind of football that we knew we were capable of, that was disappointing. And, you know, the Eagles game, you dismiss it and you say, okay, if we had our, you know, just one of the quarterbacks, we think the outcome could have been different. Even though the defense stunk it up, I'd like to think our offense could have went toe-to-toe with them. I told you the game could have gone like the Chargers game when the Eagles, I thought they dominated the Chargers defensively. They moved the football on them. You know, they did what they want to do. They just couldn't stop the Chargers offense. I felt like we could have did the same thing to them. Their defense it's not menacing. It's a very, very, you know, doable defense. You can move the football on them. We moved it last night at times with Garrett Gilbert. I mean, we got into some very manageable third down situations, and just because the timing wasn't there, that we didn't convert. But there were so many opportunities for plays to be made in that game, and we didn't have the quarterback to take advantage of it. And like I said, he gave us a chance. He fought his ass off, but I think Ron can stomach what happened yesterday. Despite the fact that we had some opportunities early, we didn't take advantage. You can stomach that one, okay? And you can rationalize that one in your head. The Cowboys one, there's no rationalizing that one. You had your guys, you had the momentum, you were at home, and you got boat raced in the first quarter, 18-0. I think that one really stings, you know, and still sticks with Ron. And so I said all of that. I bring it up because of the next statement that I'm going to make. And Ron, I told you there were two things that I thought were impactful that he said, and I've given you the first one, which was the injury update on William Jackson III and Landon Collins. The other thing that I thought he said that was really impactful, probably the most impactful thing that he said, was him just being brutally honest. He said, if we don't make the playoffs, this season is going to be a disappointment. You know, it's going to be really disappointing. And I think if you would have asked him that before the season started, he wouldn't have given you that answer. Because he didn't know, and obviously we were playing a tough schedule, and if you would have asked him that a month and a half ago, he wouldn't have said that. At 2-6, he wouldn't have said that. But when you win 4 straight, you do the things that we had, you know, going in the mojo we had going in the Rock, in the David versus Goliath, and, you know, Jack, where you at? Nobody dictates to us. When you got all that shit going, and then you got your most hated rival coming to your building with the opportunity to cut into their divisional lead and to make it 5 straight, and you come out flat like a soda that's been open for 3 straight days, I mean, that hurts. That hurts. And I think it's more of that loss than it is the Eagles' loss that I think he's thinking about when he says, if we don't make the playoffs, it's going to be a disappointment, because you had everything you wanted right there. At 6-6, we weren't only the 7 seed. We were knocking on the door of the 6 seed. And there was still an outside chance if the Rams wanted to trip, we could get the 5 seed or even catch the Cowboys for the 4 seed. All of that is long gone. At this point, we'd be lucky to even be in the conversation come week 17 when we play the Eagles again. But Ron also said in that same statement that we can still make the playoffs. He said it last night after the game. He said everything we want is still in front of us. We just got to win out. And he said we got to take it one game at a time. That's what he's supposed to say. That's the message he's supposed to deliver to the team. We're not out of this, guys. We got to do exactly what Dallas did to us. Go to their building and take a dub. That's the message. I don't know if it gets through to them or not. I don't know who we get back, who we don't get back before this game. I don't see us beating them. And frankly, I don't think we beat the Eagles the second time around either. Even though that's not as daunting of a task as the Cowboys on a short week. Still, Ron still believes he should believe, and he should be preaching that to his players. But I don't, any fan out there that still believes, bless your heart. Because I don't see it happening. But it was interesting that Ron said that he thought the season would be a disappointment if we didn't make the playoffs. I didn't expect him to say that. He's right. I mean, shit, 2 weeks ago, I was ready to buy playoff tickets. I mean, I was ready. I mean, the momentum was building and building and building. And I never thought we would lose 2 in a row. If we lost to Dallas, okay. We'll bounce back. We'll beat Philadelphia the next week. And then COVID hits, and now you take that opportunity from us. And now you're like, all right, got to win out. Well, good luck. 2 out of the next 3 are on the road. Good luck with that. So, right now we sit 3rd place in the division. Dallas obviously 10-4, number 1 in the division. Eagles now 7-7, hold the number 2 spot, and we're now 6-8 in 3rd place. And we're on the outside looking in of the playoff chase. You've got 3 teams ahead of us at 7-7. The New Orleans Saints, the Philadelphia Eagles, obviously, and the Minnesota Vikings are all 7-7. So we're not out of this thing. I'm going to just say this, and then we're going to get out of here. As a matter of fact, just so you know I'm serious that we're going to get out of here after I say this, and transition to our final segment. Just this thing home. Bottom line is, glass half full. You want the glass half full approach? The season's not done. We can win out. And the only thing that last night's loss against the Eagles did was it forced us to now have to, rely on other teams to lose. That's what it did. Is it essentially took the outcome of our season out of our hands. We don't control what happens from a playoff perspective, other than we can only go out and control what we can control, which is win games. But before, if we won, then we were going to be in. There was nothing anybody could do about it. Now, we could win out, and it could not be enough. And that's the position we're in after the loss. That's all the loss last night against Philadelphia means, is that now you could win out and you could still miss the postseason. Whereas before, if you won out, there was no way you were going to miss out in the postseason. Saying that, I'm going to tell you, Minnesota's going to lose at least 2 more games. They got the Rams and they got the Packers still left on the schedule. They're going to lose at least 1 more game. Definitely 1. Probably more likely than not 2 more games, right? The Saints, they've got a soft schedule. They've got Carolina, Miami, and somebody else that they can handle, right? They're not that good, though. And you know that, I know that. I think they could lose to the Dolphins on Thursday night. Not Thursday night, on Sunday. I think they can lose to the Dolphins. Or it's Monday night. It's a Monday night game. I knew it was on one of these prime times. I think they can lose to the Saints, to the Dolphins on Monday night. I truly do. That defense is really good, and they're going to give them a chance to win out. But I can see them slipping up once or twice down the stretch. And then the Eagles, we play them again. Now, I don't know if Dallas will need the Week 18 matchup or not, but we can control that. I've talked about, this is why I don't worry about the Eagles. If they beat us twice, then we deserve to go home, and they deserve to have a chance to go to the postseason. If we want to take care of the Eagles, we can do that ourselves. We dropped the first opportunity to do that, but we still get another opportunity, another shot at that, another bite at the apple. So we can control that. We can give the Eagles a loss ourselves. So every team in front of us is more likely than not going to lose at least 1 game. That's all we need. But we can't lose anymore. That's glass half full. And we're capable of running the table. If we beat Dallas this week, which I don't see happening, let me just stress that again. But if we beat Dallas this week, We can beat the Eagles the following week, and we definitely can beat the Giants in week 18. Like, we can run the table. This is the game you would have to win, but I don't see that happening. So glass half full. We can run the table, and the teams in front of us, they're going to lose at least one more game. We can get back in. It is not over. Glass half empty, which is where I am right now. Normally, I'm a glass half full guy. Glass half empty, ain't no way in hell we running the table. Okay? Just not happening. We're not going to Dallas and winning. And even if we do, we're going to do something dumb like beat Philly, but then lose to the Giants in week 18. Like, I just don't see us doing the things necessary to win 3 in a row after having this disappointment of 2 straight losses. So we'll see. Anything's possible. But also, glass half empty, you need 3 teams to lose games. One of which you can control. If you win out, then you'll hand one of those 3 teams a loss. The Vikings are going to lose. I'm not worried about them. The Saints, that's the team I'm looking at and saying they don't have to lose a damn thing. They beat Miami. They beat, the Panthers. I forget who else is on the schedule, but I think it's 3 games that are very winnable. We'll see. At the end of the day, we put ourselves in this position, so whatever we get, we deserve. But that's going to do it for me, your man, Louie T. Leave it down in the comment section. Are you glass half full, glass half empty at this point? I'd love to know how you feel. Do you think a 3-game heater to finish up, to give us ourselves a chance to get in the postseason is still doable? Or are you in the mindset of, no, the season's done. We're done. I'd like to know how you guys feel. Leave it down in the comment section. I am a Washington fan, etched in burgundy and gold. My Washington spirit will never die. Washington spirit will never fold until we meet again. Hail to our beloved Washington football team. I look forward to chopping it up with you guys. Again, this is going to be a quick turnaround. It's already Wednesday. Thursday night football is tomorrow, and we haven't had a day of practice yet. And before you know it, we'll be talking about who's in and who's out for this game, and it'll be time to go. The only thing the NFL did us a solid on was that they said, hey, we know it's been rough on you. We're going to move your game back to Sunday night. That's the best we can do. The only silver lining is that game's on Sunday night now. And if you got a guy, say Kyle Allen or Taylor Heineke, still haven't cleared protocol yet, they've got an extra few hours to maybe be able to do so. It's a stretch, but it is what it is. At the end of the day, it's going to be a crazy week. Merry Christmas. Happy holidays. It would have been a much happier holiday with a win. That's for damn sure. Anyway, it's going to do it for me, your man, Louie T. Until next time, you guys take care. Have a good one.
Here comes the diesel. Here comes the diesel. There's the snap. Hand to Riggins. Good hole. He's got the first down to the 40. He's gone. The 35, the 30, the 20.